Hello everyone, and welcome to the European Legacy Masters Round 3. Woo! Woo! We are pretty hyped, and I hope you experienced some very great magic today.
Exactly. We are the In Response podcast team, and we will be casting the third round of this ELM tournament, and we are pretty excited for that. But first, I think we were given short information about some clarification that has been going on in the last round.
Yeah, because we have seen some strange natural order targets, or not targets, but sacrifice outlets.
Yes.
Yeah, we are basically talking about natural order gate, as we're talking about it right now. It was a black creature was sacrificed to a natural order, but we have a special shout out here from the opponent's high tide player, from Marcus Ewald. He was already dead.
Yeah, he basically wrote this to put on stream, but the stream was already over.
Yeah, so overall it didn't matter, but we just wanted to clarify with you guys so that you are also informed of what happened there. And I think it's pretty fair and the message is pretty clear.
So, how do you think about the European Legacy Masters? How do you like the event so far, Peter?
I mean, the event is great. We are basically seeing a lot of players from all over the continent, all over Europe, and even Great Britain. We are seeing a lot of different players, a lot of different cultures, and it's really cool to meet a lot of different players and talk to them, their experiences, their metas in their specific countries.
We actually had a lot of different time to catch a lot of people already and interview them. We're kind of diving into the floor between the rounds, and except for this round, of course. But we want to interview the players, the community, and catch the feeling and the vibe. So you can check this out at the Twitter account of the European Legacy Masters. When every now and then we will post a new video and a new interview from that.
And also just follow us on Instagram. It's European Legacy Masters, and also on our Facebook page, so you'll be up to date all the time.
Exactly,
Yeah, I mean, but we want to dive a little bit into today's tournament to have a brief overview about what will happen or what we want to see to happen or what has already happened. What are the things that you kind of look out for, like the meta that we currently have, or what is something that you really want to see up from now?
Oh wow, that's a very easy question for me,
really?
Because this tournament is proxy friendly, and Wilds of Eldraine is legal. So I'm pretty stoked to see some Besiege the Mirror action, because this is the first tournament worldwide in the Legacy format that features Wilds of Eldraine cards and this new powerhouse in Wilds of Eldraine.
And I think what is very important, because this is actually the second day where the cards are legal for tournaments, but since there might be some shortage of card stock regarding that, for the ELM it's no problem because it's fully proxy friendly. So people can just proxy their Besiege the Mirrors if they don't have them and still sleeve them up for the tournament.
Oh wow, so we will see a huge and wild meta.
And do you know what is huge and wild?
Tell me.
A stick attack.
You have one?
We have actually one player in the tournament representing Austria. It's Danny Donko, and he's playing Fuching Goblins with the Mind Goblin. So
the 5_ goblins, what's actually his official name,
Yeah, exactly. And I do not know how he went in the second round, but he won his first round. So maybe in the future we can see him on the stream representing the madness that Wizards basically put into the format.
Exactly, I think overall, what else would you expect in terms of decks that could be happening in terms of the meta game?
I think blue-black scam or blue-black mid-range, I don't know how you call it, or shadow, is like one of the really big players in this tournament. So I'm expecting a lot of these on the top tables. I'm unsure if we already have seen this in the first two rounds, but I'm pretty sure that after 2-0 we will see some Dimir Shadow or Dimir Scam lists.
It's the time of the Underground Sea for sure. Scam, Grief, Reanimate package is just so strong. The Troll, I think especially the Troll, we have to mention the Trolling here. Trix's mana, it just is a massive threat. and the perfect reanimation target also.
Yeah, I think the troll was really the thing that put the deck over the top and really established the archetype for the format. So it's the troll was like a really big printing. We saw some Grief Reanimate running around in like the Dimir or Blue Black's Shadow versions, but the troll being introduced to the format in the new Lord of the Rings set was a really big beta that the deck basically needed to tempo out on the first or on the second turn.
Yeah, that's true. And also we have to talk a little bit about Lore and Reveal, because that card single-handedly brought back control into the meta. Jeskai Control, a fan favorite of the Italian Legacy community, because basically, if you're going to play Legacy in Italy, you have to be prepared to face Jeskai Control.
Yes.
Because that's the most favorite deck here by far.
Yeah, Tundra and Sword Explosions, Force of Will, like typical control, and it's kind of the most honest control, I would say.
Oh, yeah,
there are a lot of different versions that are featuring either green with Uro and the Ring and the light halving or whatnot, but honest Jeskai control. Now, in addition, of course, Lorien, and the second most important thing is, of course, fourth Erlingas.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
fourth is so insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the single best finishing control. It's like better than most of the Planeswalkers. It's better than the Angel card. It's like so strong.
And it's never dead. It's simply never dead.
Yeah. You can catch, basically catch up from behind.
Yeah.
It is very swingy, and even proactively getting a 2/2 or 2 is almost every time enough, because you can get the Monarch, you draw another card, and you're just so far ahead in this case.
Especially in control mirrors, Teferi, because of this card, it's like so much more important, because if you resolve your turn 3 Teferi, you have a protected turn 4 for Erlingas for 2 creatures, which gives you the Monarch, and in the control mirror, basically far away. So,
and I think we actually have a pretty nice showing in this feature match area as a feature match that we will cover in this round. We just have been informed about the pairing, or the match that we want to face. It's actually Angelo Cadai, one of the most Italian,
He's basically the ambassador of control in Legacy.
Exactly, yeah. He's playing 4-color control, as it seems. So not honest Jeskai, but with another color added to the deck list. And he's facing Frantisek Yuda, also a pretty nice deck, I think.
I think Frantisek is a Czech player, if I'm not mistaken here.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's playing Black Saga Storm.
Exactly.
So will be a really nice thing. And do you know if Black Saga Storm plays Besiege the Mirror?
I certainly hope so, but we will need to check the deck list. Maybe it's just honest, like standard version that you can see floating around, but we will get that information soon, I hope.
Yeah, because we are putting up deck lists on Cardboard Live. They will be there when the feature match starts. So you can always take a look at the deck list and inform yourself.
And we were currently informed by our production, shout out to Inigo here, we will see the new Wilds of Eldraine tutor.
Oh my god.
Besiege the Mirror action upcoming in the next round against 4-color control from Angelo Cadai, the control experts from Italy.
This will be, I'm so excited for this match. I'm very much a big lover of Storm, and I'm really wanting to see how this tutor fares in the meta game, how it slots into the deck, and how it can really push maybe Storm a little bit into another higher tier level compared to the past, because it really struggled a little bit in the past also. Although this Black Saga Storm as is was pretty strong, probably one of the best versions that you can build in terms of Storm. But right now it's really exciting, I think.
Oh, for sure. And I'm also pretty hyped because as far as I know, Angelo is always playing a lot of dress downs in his lists.
Yeah.
So at least he has some main deck out to the Saga plan of Mono Black Saga Storm.
Yeah.
I think this matchup isn't that lopsided.
Yeah.
That it first appears like, because this Black Saga Storm is eats normally control for breakfast. But Angelo's list, especially Angelo's list, has so many outs.
But one thing that we unfortunately have to bring to you guys is, unfortunately, one of our players refused to play on stream. So we have to pick, actually, unfortunately, another match to show you.
Doesn't want to show his deck. Probably some secret tech. We don't know.
Maybe he doesn't want to show his beanstalk.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, we pick another stream match.
We will have a nice match shortly for you.
Yeah.
So everything's running. In the meantime, if you like what we are doing, you can follow us on Twitter. It's @response_legacy. And also check in onto our Twitter account of the European Legacy Masters, EU Legacy Masters, to find all the whole event, all the interviews of the day, and catch the feelings and the vibes of the European Legacy Masters right there.
Yeah, I think this is a very special event. Once per year, we can crown a European Legacy champion that has been allocated through different slots throughout Europe. I don't know how many countries do we actually have. I think over 20, right?
20 countries, if I remember.
21, yeah.
21 countries. And one thing that we really have to mention here is it were above 5,000 attendances over the 90 events that brought players into the European Legacy Masters main event that happens today. Yeah. So the crowning champion is like one guy or one girl out of over 5,000 players all over Europe. So it's really a big accomplishment.
Insane. And also a huge shout out to our player base, our legacy players all over Europe, because without you, this all wouldn't be possible.
Exactly.
I mean, showing up to these events is actually what matters the most.
Yeah. And shout out to the TOs that and the players that basically built up communities over the last year from the ground. It's like really, really important to build communities, to have them go to Italy, help them organize the trip, their hotel and stuff like that. It's like a really, really big thing.
If we have learned one thing from the last couple of years that was really important in Magic is the gathering.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems a little bit obvious, but actually that's what it is about. Just to get to know new people, to be in the community, and because the game unites us on a higher level. Actually.
Exactly. Yeah, I think. And for the gathering also exchanging new ideas in terms of deck building or meta gaming or I don't know, strategy building for matchups and all these kind of things. Because there's a lot of deck specialists spread around Europe, and getting to unite them in one single place, you can exchange a lot of different things. It's very, very helpful, not for oneself, but also for all the others. Yeah. And this is very, very nice also, in addition.
Yeah. For example, like we had in the last round with Marcus Ewald, he's like basically the high-hat expert that we have in the format. And yeah, it's really nice to see a specialist coming up, playing his pet deck, playing it basically to perfection, even though unfortunately I think he lost last round on stream.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's really nice to learn from those players and basically give them the platform to play to the community, that the community can basically see how to play a deck.
Exactly. The stream or the next round will begin in a couple of minutes. We just need to figure out our match for this round.
Apparently it's Marc versus Mauro, and it should be Marc Tobiasch, maybe.
Probably.
We will find out.
But yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this, because we have so many big hitters in this tournament. Yeah. This tournament is fully stacked with only the best players from all over Europe. So actually, it doesn't matter who we are watching or who we are featuring, because everyone is really the best of the best.
Yeah, there's so many great players in this community, and also this ELM is very stacked.
So... Okay, wow. So we have now our feature match. On the left side, we have Mauro Petruzzella on Blue-Black Scam, and on the right side, Marc Tobiasch, like we said beforehand, on Esper Doomsday. Both are 2-0, and I don't want to say it's a classic matchup, but
well, I think the Doomsday is something that is not too popular at the last couple of months, and it's a very, very hard deck to play. But I think Marc played a little bit in the past also, so he pretty much knows what he's doing.
and one thing that we kind of have to mention here in the Doomsday list is like we have a really interesting card for Doomsday for this matchup is like Baleful Strix.
Interesting, yeah. Normally you don't see this card at all because with Bowmaster in the format, Baleful Strix really falls out of favor because it gets counted so hard by Bowmaster.
Yeah.
I mean, you at least get to draw your card.
Yeah.
So Bowmaster isn't a total foil against a card draw like Narset or a Leo Gold is. So still, sometimes the one life are actually worth it.
Yeah.
But to draw the card, or even the brainstorm to get free into your face.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you need it, you take them.
So how would you say this matchup will go in terms of who is the beatdown, who is the control player, who wants to beat, or which strategy should each deck like follow? I would say Scam looks rather on the aggressive side here because of his of this powerful interaction of Grief and maybe reanimating a Grief to get 2 cards of the Doomsday deck. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean it will be interesting, but on the one hand, like you have really the discard elements on the side of Morrow with turn 1 Grief reanimated again, or the Troll. So Morrow is definitely on the aggro side here for this matchup, and the inevitability lies definitely on the side of Doomsday because like once there will be a point where you basically can Doomsday for the win, but like as we have here in the meta, Bowmaster is a really, really strong card to basically shut down a lot of the Doomsday lines because you can't really afford the life loss that you get from the Bowmasters after Doomsday.
Yeah, I think Bowmasters is something that Marc definitely has to consider and play around to a certain extent. But of course also this very fast clock in maybe getting to cycle a Troll and reanimating it already puts a lot of pressure on Marc.
Troll really seems like a key here to do, in my opinion.
It's just the fast clock, except maybe for Murktide, it could also be pumped out pretty fast if he can chain a lot of spells together beforehand.
Yeah, and here we see a relative interesting hand on the side of Marc. We have a few reactive spells with a daze, with actually 2 dazes and a spell pierce. So I don't really see for the next few seconds that something will come up.
It seems that the players were actually mixed up. Sorry about that.
So the matchup looks very, very differently now.
Okay, wow, yeah.
It's actually not Scam, it's 4-color control.
We didn't know that. So.
we couldn't catch it. Sorry guys, but now it seems to be correct. It is Tomas on 4-color control, also pretty known player from Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And he's playing against Esper Doomsday. What do we think about this matchup, actually?
then it's actually totally different.
Yeah. Doomsday, I think, needs to be aggressive, of course. He's a combo deck, and he needs to, I don't know, pump through, power out the Doomsday with some kind of protection.
But one thing that we may see for the next turn is like we see a Teferi actually in the hand of Marc.
Which is pretty strong.
And he has like double daze and spell pierce protection, so triple protection for the next turn.
Yep.
And will be interesting if you see a Uro this turn for Tomas.
What kind of interaction does Tomas have? He has Force of Will, of course. Maybe he has also
spell pierces.
Spell pierces, maybe. Will of Summer could be interesting sometimes. I mean, it's not stopping the combo, but it can stop any discard spells that Marc wants to fire off before he combos.
The 2 dress stuns are really, really good in the main
strong,
deck.
Yeah.
Exactly. But other than that, I think Tomas may rely a little bit also on the couple of wastelands that he has in this deck. Setting Marc back on mana can help him to buy him a couple of turns, maybe 1 or 2. And Dreston, of course, is also pretty strong against Doomsday.
Yeah. In the counter war that we may see for the next turn, we have like 2 Whale of Summer, 2 Force of Negation, and 4 Force of Will as protection pieces for Tomas. Whale of Summer only protects his own forces. Yeah. So yeah, will be interesting what we see here.
He wants now to if the Teferi sticks, of course, pretty strong against Marc. So Tomas definitely doesn't want to let this happen.
Yeah. Should be a force, but the key thing is that there are 2 untapped lands, so Spell Pierce doesn't really do anything, but the Spell Pierce allows the Daze to be basically the force here.
Exactly.
So yeah, will be an interesting exchange with a Spell Pierce, most likely forcing the 2 lands to be tapped and then dazing.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, this Teferi is a big problem, and Tomas, I think, does he have Prismatic Ending in the deck?
He's playing 3 Prismatic Ending in the deck.
Endings, yeah.
So this would be the answer if the Teferi resolves. And interestingly, Marc doesn't fight back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think he has another Teferi in his hand.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Then it makes total sense to just let this get countered and then fight over the next one.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you don't have any clock on Tomas' side. So Marc has all the time in the world now to actually get his pieces right in his hand and then go off in one turn.
Another Teferi being cast.
This is strong.
This is something now.
But now the Spell Pierce can't protect it. The Spell Pierce Daze combo can't protect it. Yeah.
But on the other hand, there are no Force of Wills left in the hand of Tomas, and
he's searching for a force.
I kind of like this rest on here because it also would prevent like an immediate combo from Marc if the Teferi resolves and then going for the combo immediately. Of course, he doesn't want to bounce the dress down.
Yeah, it's like you can't really do anything when Teferi is out there, so basically cycle it away. And
it's at least a card.
It's at least a card. This turn you should be able to Prismatic Ending the Teferi here, and yeah, just go from there.
So we have 2 dead cards in the hand of Tomas with Swords of Plowshares.
This will be probably
Spell
Pierce target. Yep.
This will be Spell Pierce.
And then it looks kinda really good for Marc for the next turn to resolve the Doomsday. I don't think he has a cantrip in hand.
I'm not sure it was double Doomsday. I'm pretty sure it was double Doomsday and Spell Pierce.
Double Daze. But the thing is, he has a Teferi in play, which he's able to downtick to draw a card.
Yeah.
So everything is fine. He doesn't need the cantrip.
Easily draw into the pile. Well, yeah.
Yeah, Teferi is very strong in Doomsday.
Yeah, and this is now actually just play Doomsday, build the pile, draw into the pile, and win.
Could be pretty easy, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, here we see the real big strength of Teferi. Uptick on the last turn because you don't really need the downtick, you don't really need the card. A little bit of forward thinking for the next turn, and basically win with the downtick activation as an additional card to draw a card.
So he has perfectly 1 mana up. He can draw into a Brainstorm and set it up. The remaining cards in his hand. There you can see the Brainstorm. Seems like a late and cycling pile. So pretty standard, I would say.
I mean, in Doomsday, there are just, I think that's 1 pile that you use for above 80% of all the matches.
Yeah.
And then you come to the niche cases where the deck really gets very skill intensive.
Yeah. Draws into the Brainstorm.
Yeah, no.
Cast the Brainstorm.
Draws 3 cards.
I'm curious what the pile looks like.
Yeah. And then this is the cycling LED combo that draws the last the Oracle and gets you 2 mana to be able to cast the Thassa. Exactly. In response, you crack the lead. You throw 3 blue. And you just cast. Okay.
Okay, and another consider into the pile.
You have 2 mana remaining, and
there's the Thassa's Oracle. Very beautiful, very nice pile here. I really like that.
Yeah, and what we here see in Marc Tobiasch is like he was really, really fast with the pile building. It's one of the things that really holds Doomsday players most that are inexperienced back, is like you need so much time to focus on what are the cards in the pile, and Marc was really able to quickly configure how the pile should look like, what are the cards you want here. Took like not even a minute, I think, for the pile, and went from there. And it's really big accomplishment to play the deck really well, because it's, even though with Tacit it went on being easier to play as before, but yeah, really strong.
Yeah, with the fairy in play, of course, it's, you don't have to worry about anything basically.
Yeah.
So you just need to make
Peppery
sure that
and capped out.
yeah, you just need to make sure that you have enough mana, and that's it.
Yeah, but I think with both players being in sideboarding and yeah, basically Marc winning the first game, I think we'll look at first at the sideboard of Tomas.
Yeah.
Because it's like, those are, I think, the more impactful cards in the sideboard, even though protecting pieces are in this board of Marc. He has the defense that are basically those.
Yep.
So we have like a blue elemental blast, a hydro blast, carpets, pyroblast, a surgical whale, cast into defilement terminus, and forfeiting. Is what are cards that you really look out for besides the obvious red blast? And I think we are offline currently.
Okay.
Okay, we are back, guys.
Our screen fell off.
The thing is, like, one of the key effects is, I don't remember if you heard about it, it's like that you can peek into your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
So you see your opponent's hand, you know what to play around.
I think it's threefold kind of. In ideal cases, you can extract the Doomsday if you force it first and then you extract it. In second case, you can have a look at the opponent's hand. And the third aspect is to mess up the pile after Doomsday. It would also be like, so surgical is pretty strong, I think.
Yeah, so these are three very good use cases here for surgical. On the other hand, we have Marc Tobiasch side.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we currently can't see the deck lists,
but we will talk about it shortly.
Of Marc and Tomas. But yeah, what are typical cards in the sideboard against control? And Esper Doomsday won game 1 in a convincing fashion. With a strong Teferi.
Okay, and we just take a little look on the deck lists. Should take a minute or so. But yeah, I think Marc Tobiasch will also get the second game, although it will be a little bit more harder now for him.
Okay.
Because I don't think the free surgicals and the blasts on Tomas' side are enough to combat this.
Tomas has a lot of dead cards pre-board, like the swords and the terminus, which not do anything actually in the matchup if played correctly. So I think Tomas can improve the matchup after game 1 heavily. But usually, I think this Esper version with the fairies could be rather strong.
Yeah, swords isn't really a dead card because he still has to have some kind of devotion to win through swords.
Well, normally,
or hero cards in library.
In the ideal case, you just build your pile that you don't have, like we saw here. Assaults wouldn't have done anything. If 0 cards remaining in the deck, the trigger will still go off, and you still win the game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we see here a fast Doomsday from Marc?
That's the question.
I mean, one thing is here the Wasteland.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Wastelanding is also always pretty great against combo decks.
Yeah.
Because they build the deck of as less resources as possible. So taking away one of the resources really makes them stumble upon their game plan.
Exactly.
So, Tomas is searching for interaction, for counter spells, and for anything that will give him the edge here. And also, I think he's also lacking some kind of clock right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that we see here in the hand of Marc is like he's playing an Orcish Bowmasters himself, which can come in handy, especially against the control deck. And he has a Baleful Strix in hand. So the thing here is, does he want to play the Baleful Strix this turn to give him the chance for the third land trap for the Teferi on the next turn? Or does he want to keep up the Orcish Bowmasters? But I think we will see here a Baleful Strix.
It will be Strix, otherwise he wouldn't have fetched right now, in my opinion. Oh, Night's Whisper, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this in his hand.
It's the new Doomsday tech, actually.
I think it's a pretty old tech.
It's pretty standard tech.
Nowadays it's pretty standard, yeah. It came up over the last few months, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also a card that has always been played a little bit before the time of Thassa's Oracle in the Doomsday piles.
Yeah, it's a card that strongly synergizes with additional Cabal Ritual, actually.
Yeah.
Where you can use the mana here.
LED.
And LED here.
Being prepared. Seems he doesn't really fear an
Prismatic Ending.
Yeah.
I also think it's correct here to board out Ending.
Against Doomsday.
Against Doomsday, because it hits the one of lead.
Yeah.
And that's basically everything.
If he plays it out, actually.
I mean, you can remove the fairy, of course. So it's... I don't know if he wants this kind of effect. The good thing for Marc is that Tomas doesn't have white mana at the moment also. And he has two Teferis in hand. And he certainly wants to...
I think this will get... the Force will get forced right now. I'm pretty sure. Oh, no.
Okay. I mean, Teferi is like a little bit more impactful on the side of Tomas.
But it can be... I'm unsure about Marc's hand. It can be a little bit... It opens up the game here to win via Doomsday.
Yeah.
And here we see a Flooded Strand in hand. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, found Strand. That's right. Chat.
So, yeah. We have the land trap now. So maybe Orcish Bowmasters will be kept up. So he can do something here, but he wants to put it actually away. Keeps up the Hydro Blasts to combat maybe the opposing Red Elemental Blasts, because like on the one hand we briefly talked about like Prismatic Ending hitting Teferi, but if you board in like the Red Elemental Blasts, you have a card that cleanly answers Teferi for 1 mana now, even if it's on the board or on the stack. So it seems like just a better copy of Prismatic Ending in this matchup.
Yeah. Also, the Hydroblast can really help for an opposing form of Elingias if it's being cast ever.
That's true.
Which Marc certainly wants to kind of, cope with.
And there's the Teferi.
And I think we see here no, we don't see an Orcish Bowmasters in response, which is usually one of the best answers to play in response, to ping your opponent, have 2 bodies, doesn't let your opponent to downtick the Teferi, or it will die. So will be really interesting, but yeah.
Will it be a Bowmaster?
Yeah. Okay. It is. So 3 power on the board at least. So Teferi...
But playing this right now, before the Teferi actually resolves, what kind of use case is this here?
I mean, you can't play it afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's the use case.
Yeah.
And you can't downtick on the...
Sometimes I'm dumb.
You can't downtick on the Bowmasters, because then the Orc army kills the Teferi itself. You can't uptick on the Orc army, because then the Bowmasters kill it. So you are really only allowed to uptick the Teferi. Then it's up to 5 loyalty, but you still have 3 power on board. You can bash into the Teferi, and it will die for the next turn.
Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of different bodies is really good against.
It's a really strong foil against Teferi.
Yeah.
And Tomas thinks about whether or not you should force the Orc, as it seems, but it lets it resolve.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You want to keep up the force for
something like a Doomsday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Tomas is already down to 3 cards. He's relying a little bit on this one ring that he has still in his hand.
One ring, force, and a Teferi.
Yeah, so
and that's Teferi from Marc himself.
He doesn't want to go really low in cards, and so that he's not allowed or cannot keep up with what Esper Doomsday is doing. And I think this Teferi would be maybe better target for the force than the Bowmaster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But one thing that the Teferi doesn't really allow Tobiasch is like he only has 1 black source. So he really needs Dark Ritual Doomsday to pull through because he has 1 island and 1 tundra.
Yes.
So he's really limited with what cards he can have to force in a quick combo. So we are kind of playing against Esper mid-range, Esper control here.
Actually, a Brainstorm also works because he can Brainstorm and crack LED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has Brainstorm, he can put back the Doomsday on top and then use something like another draw spell and crack LED in response to be able to cast this Doomsday.
Yeah.
Even though he has only 1 Underground Sea at the moment.
The funny thing here is the 1 ring gives you hexproof. But
it gives you protection from everything.
Yeah, you get protection from everything. And normally that would say against a combo deck, it's like, well, you can't beat me next turn. I have another turn. But against Doomsday, because that's Oracle especially says, you win the game.
Yeah.
But actually, the 1 ring doesn't do anything against Doomsday or against Oracle in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic actually that we have here. Because there are a lot of decks that actually can win through the 1 ring. Like Allurant that is currently in the meta also wins through the 1 ring because you win basically in your opponent's upkeep. And
something like that, yeah.
So it's not really the thing that keeps everything on check. So yeah.
Yeah, he did have to plus the Teferi because if he didn't, it would have died immediately to Orcish Bowmaster.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he had, I think, a second Teferi in hand, but it's only his other blue card for the Force of Will, so it's really, really a tough spot for Tomas actually to be in. And yeah, Marc carefully and really well played through the turns actually, so yeah.
I think he wants now to set up this Doomsday on top of his deck and use the Lions and Diamonds to get the 3 black mana somehow. He only needs to make sure that he can draw into it with another card after the Brainstorm. Or probably, so Doomsday on top. He has another Brainstorm, so he could use that.
But still, he's unprotected. He has to discard his...
Well, but he has 1. Tomas has 1 card. He can't be a force.
He has one Daze and 1 Hydroblast that he can still cast.
So yeah, Ponder Track LED seems like the logical choice here.
Yeah.
I mean, for the chat, I can really see this. You have a great board presence here. Maybe you don't have to go for the combo.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it because this 1 ring can really pull Marc.
Do you see what he does here? Ponder in response casts Brainstorm, cracks LED.
Yeah.
Really strong play on the side of Marc.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, that's true. Then Ponder again, get another card.
So, really strong. Gets in for the black mana. Doomsday in hand.
Yeah, but he needs to pass, I think, after the Doomsday, of course.
It will be a pass pile, yeah.
With a cantrip in hand, so still a strong lead. Tomas isn't really allowed to draw any cards with the 1 ring because then the Bowmasters trigger, pumps the Orc army. So, yeah, really, really strong here. And here Marc said, I will ping my own Orc army token, and after the whole MS trigger resolves, it will check if the Orc army would die, but then it's a 2/2 and has the one damage still
really
on the card.
Relevant against the 1 ring because you cannot target the opponent, so you can still get your Orc token to a 2/2.
Yeah, you can always pump your token. It gets bigger and bigger, but it will always be just one damage short of dying.
Yeah, exactly, because state-based action only are applicate when the whole trigger resolves, and after the whole trigger resolves, the card is a 2/2 and has 1 damage on it, even though it was 1/1 when it was pinged for 1.
Yeah, that's the way it works with damage-based removal.
Yeah. It's the same as the pretty common bolt on your Goyf with 2 non-instant cards in your graveyard.
Yeah. A very, very neat interaction, actually.
Let's see what kind of pile he will do. He has now Consider, I think, in his hands. So we can fire this off next turn.
And then it's pretty easy from there.
Yeah.
I think it's still... is it...
But I think he needs to make sure that he can beat the 5 cards that Tomas will have in hands the next turn. Because he can activate the ring one more time, of course. So he needs, I think, some kind of protection. Or maybe he even tries to build a slower pile with multiple past turns, so they can throw in some kind of interaction in between.
That's a really, really interesting pile. We have seen Cavern of Souls, 2 Teferis in there, a Thassa's Oracle, and a mystery card as a 5th one. So really, really interesting. Yeah, what we actually will see in the pile from Marc for the next few turns. He has 1 cantrip in hand in the form of an the opt, where you can put 1 card into the graveyard.
The Consider.
The Consider. I didn't consider the card. It's the better opt.
I think opt was maybe played.
No, opt is really bad in Doomsday because you don't get rid of the card because you scry it away.
Yeah.
So.
Not really good.
Oh yeah, so Marc has already said that his cards in his graveyard were duplicates, so because Chad mentioned that he had to declare what he
used from the graveyard.
Yeah.
And here we see as Street Wraith is actually the 5th card, and yeah, it will be interesting.
What really would be strong now if Tomas finds another Wasteland.
Oh wow, yeah.
Then he would not be able to cast the Teferis.
Yeah.
At least.
A lot of dead cards then in his hand.
But with Doomsday, you have to take your chances and prepare for some kind of interaction. But you cannot cope with everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's always true. Yeah, the problem really for Marc was he was kind of forced to go for such line because he brainstormed upon. He didn't find any of his dark rituals actually to go for the combo. So you really want to have something to pressure out your opponent, because 4-color control at some point can win the game, and that will be actually an issue for Marc in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now we can see that Tomas has drawn 2 sideboard cards from the One Ring.
It's 1 Pyroblast.
For his turn, I mean.
Oh, Surgical is interesting.
Surgical is really strong here.
Can mess up the pile for sure. Although I don't think it's too strong here, because Marc doesn't really go for a win next turn pile. We just want to draw at any point in time the remaining cards of his deck.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
It's like casting. I'm going to slowly kill you.
Yeah.
And here we see a clean Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah.
Pyroblast.
Yeah, it has to be.
And maybe we even see an end of turn Surgically on it, which would kind of be neat because it actually hits another card.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing right now?
Yeah. Okay. Ping your opponent twice.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting here, because it takes 2 damage also from the ring next turn.
But I think you have to do it.
Yeah. You have no choice other than go aggro here. And yeah, unfortunately a lot of reactive cards on the side of Tomas.
So he gets down to 7, he's basically dead on board. Am I right?
No, if he finds a 4th Elingas, he can just kill him, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
This would be very much showing the power level of 4th. Just killing out of nowhere.
So basically drawing another 3 cards.
Yeah, he can draw another 3 cards. And he can ponder also. Yeah. So actually, he should be pretty He needs now to find a land, of course, also, so that he can make 2/2 tokens.
And he has actually a land in hand.
Okay, that's fine. So he needs to find a 4 Flingas, I think, right?
Yeah.
The one-off, yeah.
Is it a one-off?
It's a one-off.
I think he has...
And maybe he has bought it in the second copy from the sideboard.
Yeah, could be the case.
Okay, yeah.
Because he
I
kind
haven't seen
of
the second copy in the
needs an
sideboard.
aggro card too for the pass piles.
Yeah.
So kind of makes sense.
And blind draw here from Ponder. And it's a tropical island.
Then draw.
Ping him again.
So next turn, it's 5.
Down to 6, yeah.
6,
Because he
7.
hasn't wrote the damage from the ring beforehand.
Okay, so he's dead next turn. So
It's-
he
it's-
has to,
he's dead.
He's dead
he has
next
to
turn,
go
yeah.
for... In that case, I'm looking for... Interested if he... Yeah, I think he needs to go now for the 4th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he has it,
Or he can find another ring, actually, yeah. Finding another ring would also buy him... Yeah, maybe a turn, yeah.
why not Veil? Veil doesn't do anything against combat damage.
Yeah.
And he draws an Uro, a Blast.
And the swords. Ooh, this is now really strong here.
In response to the triggers,
Yeah.
he could whale, but apparently
He could whale for the pings, but I don't think this matters at this point.
I don't think so too either. I mean, he could whale, then swords the orc army, may live on 1 life,
Yeah.
but yeah. I think now it's basically game over, and it was a slow and configurative play, and yeah, good, well outplayed matchup from on the side of Marc Tobiasch.
You really think so?
Let's see. He has still a lot of cards. in
Yeah.
hand. Yeah.
He is still out. He is still blasts and
Yeah.
surgical, and also
He dies to his own the 1 ring trigger in the upkeep. Even if the whole board is cleared, that's the problem here.
Uro
can-
sword Uro.
Uro is now an idea. He can sort the token, probably.
Or the Uro himself.
Yeah.
He can do that, but the token
Then
is
he
still...
still dies to... Yeah,
The token is just too big. I think you have to deal with the token.
Yeah, for sure. Veil of Summer gives hexproof from black, but it doesn't get around the
wandering.
the combat damage.
At the combat
The
damage,
combat
yeah.
damage from the 9/9 orc army.
But it didn't. It wouldn't have allowed the orc army to grow itself, because from the wandering trigger, all of those 3 triggers would be at the opponent.
Yeah.
All of the 3 triggers would have been fizzled.
Yeah.
So it's like +6 life on the side of Tomas.
And orc army still would grow. Like we talked beforehand, you can always ping your orc army, then it gets amassed, and then it's always 1 damage short of dying. But the orc army will grow over time, even if you are protected from Veil.
And now you have to sort the orc army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fine here for Mark.
Yeah. And now 4 Flingas isn't really an out here.
No, not really.
The problem is he still goes down to 3 life, and then there's the ring trigger on the stack.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
Okay.
And the blast, so
Yeah,
he's back
okay.
to 1,
Yeah. This is what you need to do, yeah.
but he isn't allowed to fetch again.
Yeah.
He has to hardcast the Ur on the next. Kinda hope that he finds a next the 1 ring.
Yeah. I think this is very hard for Tomas.
This is a cool spot for Tomas, because for Mark here, because Tomas isn't allowed to force anymore. He isn't allowed to fetch anymore.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I mean, there is a force of negation in his hands, but the force of negation doesn't really counter any Thassa's oracles anyway.
Yeah.
And I think here we have a Cavern of Golds.
Oh, the cabin is really good.
Just going for the clean kill here.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, he's not
Well-
allowed to fetch for another sword, potentially,
Yeah.
in this case.
Also, surgical doesn't do anything
Yeah,
because there's 1 card still. And that's
Yeah,
game.
that's game.
Marc Tobiasch won against Tomas Vlcek Vlcek in the second round of the European Legacy Masters, the 2023 iteration, and yeah, went up to 2-1.
With Esper Doomsday. Pretty strong deck and pretty strong showing, and I think here this really shows how an Esper version of Doomsday can really help against control decks with Teferi's. I think Teferi was really helping Marc here.
Teferi was MVP in the first match, actually,
It's drawing forces, and if it resolves, it's just so good. You just can't go for the combo without any hesitation.
And one thing that we really have to mention here is Esper seems like the dream choice actually for the current meta. We have a lot of blue-black scam, blue-black shadow in here, and we really need the swords and the remove spells to combat in this meta, because you will get sculpt down in your hand total with the Fortizes, with the Griefs, so you really want to have the removal to buy time that you win in the long run the game.
Yeah, and also Teferi isn't dead in these matches, because bouncing an Orc is also really putting away stress from your life totals.
Yeah.
And it gives you breathing room to resolve a Doomsday combo.
Yeah, and especially with a format that on the one hand tries to be fast, and on the other hand has the long drawn out games. They seems like a strong point that you can switch in between games. Game 1 you really want to be the fast combo deck, and game 2 you kind of want to switch out. We've seen 3 Mercs in the board to be a little bit of a closer game, have a really good second game plan in form of like a little bit of a tempo game with Orcish Bowmasters and Merc-type regions.
Well, So we had a really nice matchup now. We have still 15 minutes on the clock, am I right? Or something like that. Do we have a backup match or something? Or did you already finish?
We have to check.
We have to check, but yeah. I think this matchup really showcases the wild meta that we are in right now, because nobody has had Doomsday on his radar in the last
months, basically.
Last month, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
And what I really like about this is, because we're playing with proxies, everybody can play anything and isn't stressed out to buy things.
Yeah.
And also, what I really got to say is this event here is invite only and free for our players. So I have to thank our sponsors here. We have Bose MTG, Ultimate Guard, Card Market, 341 Trading, where we have these beautiful mugs.
Yeah. Bazaar
of boxes, and also we are part of the sponsoring. We brought the
ELM duels.
Yeah,
the proxies.
The ELM duels that we basically made with the community, and our pictures from all over Europe.
So basically, we want to thank you for tuning into the stream. Hang out into the chat and wait for our next coverage crew in round number 4. So see you in a bit.